A famous civil rights activist, politician of United States, John Lewis, once said that democracy is not a state, it's an act. In fact, recently, even Vice President of America, Kamala Harris, had said the same. Democracy is not a state, it's an act. You see, just because we are born to a democratic country, born in a democratic country, my apologies, that doesn't mean that the democracy is ours, that we can take democracy for granted. Democracy can be taken away any day. The only way you can stay democratic is by acting for your democracy. By acting for your democracy. You see, today our country is facing a major crisis. We're facing a major crisis. But then I ask, where is the opposition? Why is the opposition not asking questions to the government about their failures? Where is media? Where are the intelligentsia? Where are the celebrities? Where are the big businessmen? We never speak about the failures. There is nobody talking about the problems that common man is facing. There is nobody even coming up with solutions. Ke bhai, theek hai, ye karo. Yeah, nobody. Everybody seems to be silent, just watching, and possibly to a certain extent even scared to talk. And this is nothing that we've seen now. We've seen this for quite some time now, maybe for 6 years. We've been seeing this. Nobody wants to talk anything. Nobody wants to make a comment. Nobody wants to question the government. Nobody wants to criticize the government. Nobody wants to ask any questions. Why? Because we were scared. We didn't want our comfort zone to get ruptured, to get spoiled. So we were in our comfort zone, never acted for our democracy, and here we are facing a crisis today. Here we are facing a crisis today. You know what's the unfortunate part of it? The unfortunate part of it is that many a times, the government has literally hijacked the narratives. Literally hijacked the narratives to something else. I used to talk about a story, where in Maharashtra, there are these tribes which are essentially thieves. And what they have this very unique knack of, they rob cattle actually. They're in villages, they rob cattle. So what they do is, normally, the cow or a bull, they have that bell hanging around their throat. So these guys come in pairs. So the first man, what they do is he removes the bell from the cow and he runs to east. He runs towards the east. And the other guy takes the cow and runs towards the west. So the whole village runs towards the east, trying to, because the bell is ringing, the ghanta is going ting, 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 ting. So the whole village runs there and the cow is on the other side. This is what actually hijacking narrative is. This is what has been happening in our country. Our narrative has been hijacked, our focus has been diverted. Why was all this allowed? I have Akhilesh with me to discuss the same. Akhilesh, sorry, my introduction was slightly longish, but all the same, frustrating. Why were we quiet? Why didn't we talk? Why didn't media talk?
Sujit, yours was an erudite introduction. It was not longish. And it talks about what is the ground reality that we have been seeing and talking about. I have been watching of late, President Joe Biden talk about a very radical change in the way America taxes and collects taxes. He's trying to shift the entire way the country works. And what I'm seeing is a fierce political debate taking place there, and the intelligentsia is up in the arms. We see that happening even in the UK at times, where there is a shadow cabinet in the opposition all the time coming up with this version of what things to be. And when I correlate it with India, I find that there is complete silence. We expect a voice of those whose voice can be heard. In other words, those whose voice has a reach, has an influence, has a power, and has a resource. And we are talking about people in the opposition leaders. We are talking about senior retired bureaucrats. We are talking about the intelligentsia, the academics, the experts, We are talking about industry leaders who've got a reach. And what we are seeing is all of them today are silent. Silent at a time, Sujit, when the country is actually seized with a massive economic problem. I'm not talking about the health problem just now. I'm talking about the economic problem. We have unemployment, which is just going up day after day. Businesses have been closing down. Livelihoods are in danger big time. The Industry Association of MSME says that 12% of MSMEs have already closed down, 10% are struggling for survival, and 50% are facing major financial difficulties. And this is a major employment generator for the country. And while all this happening, while growth is going down, we don't even know what is the direction of the economy. What I'm seeing is from those who we would expect to have some kind of raising a voice, giving solutions, talking about the correct narrative, we find that it is these very people who have been silent now. They have been silent for the past many years. And that's what got me thinking. Look at it how we expect in a vibrant democracy, as you spoke of, act. Here, we are seeing inact taking place. Sujit, that really bothers me.
Very correct, Akhilesh. Akhilesh, it's not about. It is not about criticizing the government. It is not about going against the government, or it is not about always finding faults with the government. It is about having a national debate, talking about the failures of the government, so that a national debate brings about a solution, brings about a common consensus, gives us a direction. Number one. Number two, most importantly, a common Indian comes to know what exactly is happening around him. You see, he doesn't live under the wrong notion. He doesn't live under the wrong narratives. He doesn't live in WhatsApp universities, as it is called now. He doesn't live under all that. He at least knows what is happening around him. Now, it is not always that everything that we do, or every policy that the government takes, or every decision that the government takes is always successful and always good. ठीक है, we understand that. The problem is that here there is no debate. It is taken and it is one just fine day closed. Demonetization happened, people died, industries crashed, businesses crashed. We don't talk about it. Finished. Finito.
So, Sujit, it is not about criticizing the government. It is about contributing to the process of governance, contributing to the process of a democracy in the way you are expected to. So, of course, a man who's a university professor is not expected to go and do the job of an MLA, but he is certainly expected to come out with his own learned knowledge in order to say, here are the problems that I spot and here are the solutions. That's just not happening. We would expect the opposition leaders who have got access to talking in the parliament and influence the policy making process. We don't see them doing. And resultantly, you see the government just hijacks the narrative away completely every time. They came up with a disaster demonetization, the government got away with it. They came up with slogans like Make in India, saying that, oh, now watch it, here is a magic for the manufacturing sector to take off. It never took off. No opposition has really taken up these issues. They came up with an entirely flawed unrolling, taking out of the GST into the country. Nobody really spoke of it. It was pretty much a flawed way of going about it. They don't talk about the NPA crisis that we face. They don't talk about the unemployment that we face. Every narrative gets hijacked. And that's because all these sections of society that we talk about are sitting silent today. And the narrative gets hijacked so easily that sensationalism has become equal to nationalism. And talking about national problems seems to be, oh, that is an anti-national move that you do when you say that there's poverty taking place. The other day I was reading figures about poverty, Sujit, and it was pretty disturbing. About 1/3 of India's middle class has already slid into poverty in the last 2 years. About 230 million of Indians today don't even earn the minimum wage that is guaranteed in the country, which is 375 rupees a day. We have already reversed our 20-year track record of poverty going down year after year. I think it's a huge economic and humanitarian crisis in the making, and nobody talks about it. And that's where my concern is, Sujit.
And my another thing, Akhilesh, to add to what you said, you see, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm headed to. I don't know what's my future. I don't know have a plan. I don't have a plan. I don't see a plan. So if I don't know where I'm headed to, I don't know what my future is, I don't see a concrete plan that is in front of me, that makes me more vulnerable to the fact that maybe I don't have a plan, therefore I have a bleak future in front of me. Now
Absolutely, Sujit.
that needs to
You're
change, isn't it?
Absolutely. You're talking about a time when there is a crisis. It's a once in a century crisis that the government likes to say to defend itself. But then, where is the strategy to really battle it? We found that we were deficient on a strategy when the second COVID came in terms of healthcare. Now we are talking about economics all over again because last year they completely bypassed the economy, according to me, because the fiscal stimulus they declared was a farce. We are now in a situation where businesses have not even recovered from last year's crisis, and now they have the onslaught of a fresh one. Where is the strategy? The government just doesn't talk about it, and all that they do is feel the Reserve Bank governor who comes up with some measure or the other, just trying to tinker the liquidity and monetary supply in the country, not realizing that how is it going to generate demand in the country? And if that is not there, growth is just sliding down. Nobody talks about it. So the silence that I'm talking about today is the government, Sujit, gets away with failures which are tom-tommed as successes. The classic case was, of course, demonetization. So the narrative gets shifted. The second thing that we, of course, see is that there is silence completely in talking about the problems that we are facing. Nobody tries to give solutions. And as we have been repeating just now, narratives just get hijacked such that the real picture never emerges. Isn't that a serious matter, Sujit?
Absolutely, absolutely, Akhilesh. Akhilesh, secondly, there's a lot of talk about creating a national task force. Okay, there's a lot of talk about creating a task force, forget national or international, a task force. The difference between possibly national task force and a task force is, just for our audience understanding, is where national task force would be party agnostic. It will be above party lines, pick up people who are the best in crisis management, put them together and let them drive the task force. Let them drive us out of this COVID crisis. A task force would be people who handpicked by the government, by the leadership, and make them into a task force. I had very strongly recommended, and I still recommend somebody like a Nitin Gadkari to head this task force, because he is good. Ultimately, what can take us out of this crisis? Good infrastructure, and he is one man who is known for building infrastructure. So I repeat it once again that somebody like a Nitin Gadkari put in to run the task force, and at least he can take us out of this crisis. Maybe we have another think tank which talks about the economy and how to pull us out of the economic crisis that we are going to fall. Akhilesh, how do you see the economy going? What is going to happen? Can you predict?
Sujit, if I talk about the direction of the economy, it is something like this. With the second COVID wave, what we are seeing is that households and businesses, they are sitting on either vanished or depleted savings. Now, here is the challenge. The challenge is that unless you do not trigger spending and investment in the economy, the wheels of the economy are not going to start turning on at the momentum at which they are needed. So, what I'm foreseeing is that we have not yet hit the peak of the economic crisis. We are going to have much more unemployment coming through. Already it has touched 8%. It is expected to go up further. I'm seeing yet another round of a contraction of the Indian economy in real terms. And it will be at least 1.5 years from now, in my analysis, before we see some tangible, durable growth coming up. Until then, expect a lot of business closures, expect a lot of households facing major financial problems. And the reason is, all this can be undone. It is the government which is not coming up with any solution. If the solution had come, then all this that I'm talking in the way of a prediction would not be there, Sujit.
Akhilesh, three categories: the poor, the middle class, and the rich. Which of this category suffers the most?
The middle class suffers the most of always. The middle class suffers the most for one primary reason. Unlike the poor, the government always rushes to give them some kind of relief and succor. The rich never need any relief. For the middle class, once they start their suffering, who do they go to? The government pays no attention to them. All those loan mailers never reach them. All those PM Kisan, etc., are not meant for them. So the real suffering is of the middle class. And the irony is that the best, the biggest, and the long term growth of any country always is driven by the consumption that emerges from the middle class. So the most suffering sector is the middle class. As far as the rich is concerned, oh, they are very well established in being cronies of the system. So whether it's crisis time or whether it is no crisis time, they are always in a good situation, Sujit.
So here we are. You have the poor who definitely will be taken care of through welfare schemes, and rightly so. They should be taken care of through welfare schemes. You have the rich who doesn't need any welfare schemes. They are anyway cronies to the government. They are getting their money. They are happy. The middle class neither gets the attention of the government, nor they have the monies, so they suffer. That's what you said, absolutely correct. But the irony, Akhilesh, is it's only the middle class that can revive the economy, isn't it? Because they are the one who
Absolutely.
purchases. So it's a vicious circle, isn't it?
Yes, Sujit. It is a middle class which has got the inherent capacity to drive up value in the system. It is a middle class which comes up with all your startup enterprises. It is a middle class which is the educated class which has got the capacity to add value in the entire production chain. And if that collapses, then you are in danger. And a recent report from Pew's London said that one third of India's middle class, which is about 75 million Indians, have slid into poverty in the last 2 years.
And what are the one or two steps that you would recommend, Akhilesh, that can really make a difference?
Sujit, the most immediate need is to have some kind of spending and investment taking place in the economy. You cannot expect the small businesses to do that. You cannot expect households to do that. They are sitting on the lowest levels of confidence ever that they had in their lives or careers. The only one who can do it is either the big enterprises. The big enterprises are just not willing to do because they are the ones who are unwilling to take the risk. It's an irony. The one that will need to do is going to be the government of India. And the government of India will need to borrow in large measures because its own treasury is depleted. Tax collections are not going to be up to the mark. They will need to spend big time, and that spending will have to be on infrastructure necessarily because the trickle down effect, the percolating effect of spending on infrastructure is very widespread. The linkages to many sectors are deep and extensive, and that's what the government will need to do. That's how spending, investment, income, jobs, livelihood in the country will get triggered.
Akhilesh, isn't it sad? Isn't it sad that the opposition of our country doesn't talk this language? The opposition of this country doesn't ask questions to the government. The opposition of this country literally seems to be quiet. Regional parties are bothered about their regional problems. They're stuck with their regional problems, regional elections. But national parties, Congress per se, absolutely no questions asked.
Sujit, you know what happens is that the opposition parties just seem to take up issues in only a political perspective. So Rahul Gandhi suddenly gets up and makes that famous dialogue, Soot Boot Ki Sarkar. It was a political jab. It was not meant for any economic issues. Recently, they made this again another sarcastic comment, very rightly so, but sarcastic and only political, not with any economic linkages, which was Hum Do Hamare Do. Beyond this, what do you remember the opposition having ever said in the last 5 years, Sujit?
And some of the solutions that was recommended by Dr. Manmohan Singh, of course, some of them were considered, some of them were not. So anyway, and he was ridiculed. So to that extent, yes, but somewhere down the line, I thought opposition should be doing much more than what they are doing, what they are currently doing. Same is the case with media.
Yes.
Actually, channels like ours, so a few digital channels, we talk. And of course, we face the penalty too for doing that talk. But the big channels who can actually, take it, who can actually stand, they just seems to have completely crumpled. When they were asked to bend, they crawled, isn't it?
Sujit, it is the big channels who have let down the country again in a big way. It is they who were very willing to get swarmed by the narrative that the government wanted to push. Of course, it was all for very, very obvious reasons, but it is they who have let down further. Why don't they realize that even for their own business, if I have to say so, of running a media house, it is one of the best opportunities to rake up or rather to raise issues which are there staring in our face. The economic well-being of the Indian, the progress of India as a country and revival of the economy. Why don't they take up these issues and why are they very happy taking up those sensational issues which probably get them some kind of a specious and misleading TRP? Why are they only chasing that, Sujit?
So that's that. Thank you so much, Akhilesh. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello everyone. HW News English is 2 years old now. When we started this venture, we promised ourselves one thing, that news should remain free, because right to know is the right of every Indian. But to keep news free for everyone, we need support from some of you. And thus we have rolled out membership on our YouTube channel HW News English. But mind you, the membership is completely voluntary. The programs that we were doing earlier, that we are doing now, will continue to remain free. First level is a basic level. Here, you can be our supporter by paying Rs 199 per month. This membership gives you certain perks and benefits. The perks include unique badges in front of your name, a live show from Mr. Sujit Nair and from Mr. Akhilesh Bhargava per month for our members. You can also vote in some exclusive members-only polls. Now the second level is Super Supporter. Here you can be our Super Supporter by paying Rs 3,999 per month. This membership will include every perk that comes with basic level. Additionally, our Super Supporters can be a part of a WhatsApp group where we can have discussions and suggestions on various topics. The second perk includes a gift pack with our merchandise. And the third perk is a Google Meet with Mr. Sujit Nair, where you can join the meet and ask your questions to Mr. Nair face to face. Lastly, if you like, we would give a shout out to our super supporters in our programs. So, hope to see you soon with our badges.